Kasama po natin ngayon isang showbiz royalty. We have with us Raymond Gutierrez. Pero tawag ng mga friends niya sa kanya, Mond.
Thank you so much and thank you for having me here.
Thank you.
Napanood ko lang to sa YouTube so it feels a little bit surreal that I'm finally here in the chair talking to you. So thank you for having me.
Yes. Pareho kaming January
2021.
and 1984.
Yes, exactly the same.
Yes. And si Mond ang isa sa mga pinakauna kong naging co-host.
Yeah, so nung time na yon, bagong lipat pa lang ako sa Philippines. I was living in the States. I think I was 19 or 20 or something like that. And then, yun yung unang pasok ko sa Showbiz was hosting that segment with you. And then parang 2 weeks later, you're like, bye!
Lumipat na ako sa ABS.
Hindi pa nga tayo naging close eh.
Oo. Pero alam mo, hindi. Kasi driver ko nung daddy ko.
Yeah.
Kung nagsisimula pa lang ako, isa sa mga lagi kong kinakwento sa daddy ko, kung meron man akong hindi malilimutan na nakatrabaho sa industriya nung nagsisimula ako, it's you and your brother.
Oh, really?
Kasi I work with your brother dun sa teleserye na Habang Kapiling Ka.
Yes.
Sobrang bait sa akin ni Richard. Lagi siyang, uy, si Toni, yung very accommodating.
Yeah.
Tapos nung nakatrabaho kita, ganun ka din, hi,
Yeah.
Toni. Kasi for someone na bago sa industriya, kapag binati ka ng mga sikat or kilala, it means a lot eh. Isa sila sa mga pinaka-humble, grounded dito sa industriya.
I think it also helped that my parents really parang drilled that in our head na maski sino sa set, kung senior man or bago, lahat ng katrabaho nyo, kailangan mag-hi kayo. They've always taught us how to be professional. So as much as possible, kailangan on time. Kailangan as much as possible, you have to say hello to everyone on set, your director, all the stars. So yun palaging pinapaalala sa akin ng dad and mom ko.
Kasi nagsimula ka 3 years old.
Yeah.
Grabe yun. Nagpipelikula ka
Child
na.
actors
Child
talaga,
actor.
Yeah.
Siyempre, nung time na yun, may choice ka ba? Na, alam mo ba na nag-aartista ka na nung time na yun?
Nung time na yun, very, lang siya, playtime on set. Yeah, and I remember we had the opportunity and the honor of working with Miss Susan Roses and my dad. And talagang parang they made it feel like so much fun. Hindi siya yung parang trabaho.
Kamusta yung growing up sa Gutierrez household?
Eh di kagulo.
Oh, kasi lahat artista!
You know, it's chaotic but it's full of love. You know, growing up in the Gutierrez household is very unconventional. Siyempre, hindi yun parang early on in life, alam na namin na we were kind of different. Kasi we would go to the mall, you know, people would recognize us, tapos we would visit my dad or my sister on set. So alam na namin yung trabaho nila, hindi normal and talagang kakaiba. But they made us feel like, you know, the family is still very important. Yun pa rin yung pinaka number one na priority. And actually, it was my sister who made the decision na she encouraged my parents na mag-aral kami sa States nung medyo teenagers na. Kasi, syempre, she also wanted us to experience a normal childhood. She encouraged my parents na, alam mo, dapat meron din silang time for themselves and grow up as real kids.
So, ilang years yun? Nag-aral kayo ng high school sa Beverly Hills?
Yes. So, we went to middle school and high school in Beverly Hills, me and Chard. Pero si Chard na una. So, after namin mag-graduate ng middle school, we were here for Christmas and may offer sa kanya yung GMA. Parang nung time na yun, click. Diba? So it was a Sunday teenage show. And
Oh my God.
parang nung time na yun, Chard was like, you know what, may curiosity din siya. So sabi niya, sige, you know, at parang 17, 16, you have the chance to make your own money and start working. And hilig talaga niya. So nauna siya. Ako, I stayed behind.
Paano ka bumalik?
Bumalik ako also by accident. So, nung time na yun, Christmas ulit. So, every Christmas pupunta ako sa Manila. And si Tita Wilma Galvante of GMA, she asked me if I was interested in guesting in Starstruck, parang as a guest co-host. Kasi nung time na yun, I really wanted to host. For some reason, wala akong desire sa acting. I really just wanted to be either a host or a VJ. Parang that's the path I want to take. If I want to do show business, I don't want to do acting, I want to be a host. So sabi ko, nung umuwi ako, sabi ko, you know what, kung may opportunity sa hosting, I'm game. So nung nagkataon na meron, I accepted it.
So yung una Starstruck as co-host?
Yes.
And then?
So parang nagustuhan nila ako, oh, do you want to stay on for the whole season? Maging co-host ka na? Kasi nung time din, parang ibabato lang sa akin ng main host, tapos andun lang ako sa side. Parang very co-host lang yung dating. Tapos when they offered me to become the main host, parang I was like, you know what, this is an opportunity na not a lot of people get. And I believe that I was getting good at it. Alam mo yung parang I was gaining confidence na, you know, this is something that I'm good at. So I should really see where this will take me.
Pinilit ka ba mag-artista?
Yes, marami kaming best nag-away ni Mommy. Kasi
For
marami
sure.
akong tinanggihan.
Oo.
Na maraming offers na mag-soap or mag-movie, talagang ayoko. Kasi nakikita ko yung pagod ni Chard na almost 24 hours siya sa set. And acting requires a different skill set. I think a lot of people think na, oh, cute ka, maganda ka, oh, sige, mag-showbiz ka. No, it requires a lot of skill. It requires a lot of patience, discipline, hard work. You have to be committed. You have to be professional. There's so many things that goes along with just entering show business. It's more than just being cute, diba?
Parang 10% lang yun. 90% is your attitude.
Exactly.
Oo.
Yeah.
Diba?
And your willingness.
Determination.
Yes.
Yes.
So nung time na yun, sabi ko, you know what, I'm enjoying hosting, but ba't pa ako iiba? So I told my mom, ito na yung lane ko eh. So may mga times na nag-away kami and I really had to prove to her na I can build a career for myself doing something that I like to do.
Kamusta yung relationship mo with your mother growing up?
It was good. I mean, we were siblings of 6. So ang dami namin. So we never felt alone. We always had someone on our team. And growing up in show business, syempre maraming intriga. Nung time na we were growing up, my sister, she was going through so many things also as an actress at the time. Growing up, we built kind of like a force field. And isa na yung mom ko dun sa very protective. So maraming nakakaintindi sa mom ko as this overprotective or, parang yun yung image niya sa media.
Ano yung biggest misconception sa mami mo?
Parang hard lang yung shell niya, pero she's very soft inside. And maalaga, very generous, and even her talents from before can attest to that. She really acts like everyone's mom.
Ano yung best advice na nabigay niya sa'yo when you entered showbiz?
As long as you work hard and wala kang matatapakan na tao, yun naman yung advice niya sa amin eh.
Di ba 6 kayo magkakapatid? Growing up, kanino ka pinaka-close?
Actually, ang close ko talaga growing up was Elvis and Chard. Pero parang I started feeling different from the two of them because they would start playing basketball, they would start playing baseball, and it was just never my thing. They both learned how to ride the bike together, and I was just like, you know what, just you guys do your own thing.
Ano interest mo nun?
Well, I really liked computer games, I liked drawing, I was more on the creative side. I like painting.
Ano yung pinaka-challenging part growing up in showbiz?
I think it's the misconception. Even up to today, when people meet me, they're like, ay, mabait ka pala. I'm like, ano ba yung tsura ko?
Baka kasi yung manner mo ng pagsasalita, baka akala nila, no?
Yeah, so every time somebody meets me, that's the first thing that they say. They're like, ay, ang bait mo pala. Also, maybe because my Instagram sometimes it's a bit fierce. I need to smile a little bit more sa Instagram.
Speaking of Instagram, you posted something. Sabi mo, 2021 was a life-changing year for you. In what way?
Well, 2021 I was able to come out publicly and really share myself to the world. I've been out to my friends for a long time, but that was the turning point for me na parang, you know what, it's a global pandemic and I don't want to imagine kung hindi pa rin ako ganito na at peace with myself and imagining myself being alone. I wanted to use my platform to really share to people na hindi ka nag-iisa, pinagdaanan ko rin yan, and I really just wanted to share my story. Kasi some people think that it was an easy road, and it wasn't.
What was the hardest part?
The hardest part was just, being happy with your career, but not being able to be happy fully because you're not able to share who you really are. Diba? I've had so many milestones in my career that I'm so happy about, but it's always been bittersweet. Kasi I was never able to celebrate who I was. I think the hardest part was getting through depression and losing weight, and then just coming to terms with your sexuality. Ang dami kong issues, no? So all of those things, it was hard, and that's why in my 20s, I turned to partying, I turned to alcohol, and it was kind of like my escape. So I lived an unhealthy lifestyle, and I kind of was, parang it was self-destructive.
Paano nag-start yon? Yung light bulb na, I have to change my lifestyle, I have to do something.
I remember it was December of 2016 and our birthday's in January. So parang I just didn't want to live another year being unhappy with myself. So you know what? If you're not gonna do anything about it, nothing will change. You're gonna live another year of your life being unhappy. Do you really want that? Parang I just had to have an inner conversation with myself.
Saan mo sinimulan? Like, nag-start ka ba ng workout or cut down muna ng intake ng food?
Most important talaga is the diet. I cut out alcohol. I stopped drinking nung time na yon. That was number 1. Number 2 was I stopped eating junk food. Yung mga friends ko, Mond, tara, I'm gonna pick you up. Let's go work out. And nung time na yun, all of them were working out together. So I was like, sama naman ako dyan, you know, and they were so encouraging.
Hindi ang hirap nung first workout mo.
Ang
Hingal na
hirap.
hingal ka.
Hirap. As in, yung first workout ko, may video pa yung trainer ko na si Arnold. He has a video of me not being able to do 1 push-up. As in, hindi ko kaya.
Kasi
Tapos
bodyweight yun eh.
wala akong gym clothes. So, yun, na-motivate ako. It started becoming fun. I think yung importante din, you have to find something na nag-enjoy ka. Workout outside.
Gaano katagal yung fitness journey? Ilang months?
Nakita ko yung results talaga. I think like within 6 months, I saw results. I think 4 to 6 months. Of course, that was hard work and dedication and every day talagang
Ilang pounds na lose?
I lost 70 pounds.
So, anong feeling nung na-achieve mo yung goal na yun for yourself?
I felt like I was a new person. You know, parang there was a new sense of freedom. And I think that's when it started to hit me na I wanted to live a new life. And that's when I started accepting who I was. I started coming out to my friends. I started coming out to people close to me. And I think yun talaga yung nag-change in terms of mentality. Finding inner peace.
Bakit ka na-depress?
Because I really couldn't face it. I think being gay today is not the same as being gay 10 years ago or 15 years
So
ago.
yung depression mo was not because of the weight. It was because you were hiding who
Yeah,
you
I
are.
was hiding who I was and I would turn to food and drinking and that's why I gained weight. It was all rooted from me not liking myself. You know, honestly, my 20s were such a blur.
Yun yung dark phase.
Yeah, it was a dark phase. But I think also being in the public eye, parang
Pressure.
na-pressured din ako because I was still trying to figure myself out. May mga comments na ako nababasa or may mga comments na ako naririnig na parang hindi pa nga ako sure, hindi pa nga ako, wait, what is this I'm going through? May label na kagad. So I think yun din yung, that's what messed me up also.
Sa mental health mo?
Yeah, mental health.
Ano yung, like, the painful words
Wala,
that
like,
affected you?
nung time na yun, di ba, I would walk in the corridor in GMA or something and I would hear like, oh, di ba yan yung bakla na kakambal ni Richard? Or di ba
Narinig
yan
mo talaga?
Yeah, no, they would make me hear it. And then I would read some of the comments online. Nung time din, thank God, wala pang social media. And I think that's why the youth now, they have it harder because
Ang bilis.
words matter. You know what I mean? It really sticks to you for a long time. So for them, it's just a comment or a side remark. Pero for me, nung time na yun, I was like, wait, parang hindi ko pa nga na-figure out yung sarili ko. Meron na palang ganun. Yun na pala yung image ko sa kanila.
Yung kwento mo ba yun kay Richard?
No. And that's what the hardest part was. I just kept it all to myself. And I think that's one advice I can give to people who are going through similar situation na pag nag-open up ka na to someone, hindi mo mamamalaya na ang dami mo palang support.
Floodgates.
Yeah. Ang dami palang nagmamahal sa'yo, ang dami palang sumusuporta sa'yo. Siyempre, I don't know if it's an Aquarius thing, but we tend to keep our problems to ourselves.
Kasi ayaw mo maging pabigat sa iba.
Yeah, ayoko maging pabigat. Siyempre, with my family at the time, Chard was on top of his game. You know, my sister was also dealing with her own issues. And parang I just didn't want to cause another drama or make the family even more stressed out. You know what I mean? Kasi coming out nung time na yun would cause embarrassment. Because being gay nung time in my 20s, hindi pa normal masyado.
So, kailan nag-start yung conversation na you can talk about it?
I think it was late in the game. And now that I know that everyone's so supportive and loving, I wish I could turn back time and do it sooner. So yun na lang yung advice na mabibigay ko sa youth now is don't be scared because it's all in your head sometimes. Obviously, everyone has a different way of dealing with their coming out story. Not everyone has the same support system that I do. I encourage them to really open up, reach out to someone, because if they love you talagang, they'll make you feel that. They won't alienate you, diba?
Paano yun sa daddy mo? Paano mo nasabi sa kanya na open up?
Well, nung time kasi na yun, parang it was just like an open secret na. You know what I mean? I was too old. They were just like, okay, whatever makes you happy. And
So wala kayong
it was
formal
kind of
na...
like a joking manner already. You know, it wasn't like a sob story anymore. I think if I had done it like 15 years ago, then it would have been much more serious.
So open ka ngayon sa love life mo?
Yeah,
You're
for
in
the
a
first time.
Kaya nga! Bakit? Bakit ngayon you're so open in sharing yung love story mo, yung love life mo?
Because I have nothing to hide anymore. I'm at a place in my life where I'm very content and I'm very happy, and I don't owe anyone any explanation, and I'm just happy to share my love with the world. Yeah.
Saan mo siya na-meet?
We met at a restaurant in LA. We have common friends, and we had a friend that was visiting from Miami, and that friend organized the dinner. Without even realizing, it wasn't like they were trying to set us up or anything like that. But siya yung katabi ko dun sa dinner.
Tapos nag-click na kayo?
Nag-click lang kami. And we were the only two gay guys in the dinner.
Parang meant to be.
So I was like, what is going on? Because it was all like bros.
Ano yung pinaka-attractive na trait para sa'yo ng isang tao?
I think wit. Yeah, a sense of humor and the banter, the back and forth. I like a good conversation. And they have to be smart, but also funny.
Biggest turn off?
Personal hygiene, if they don't take care of themselves, because I'm very much into that. Like, I really take care of myself, so I really regard that high on my list.
Ang dami mong ginagawa. You're an entrepreneur, you're a TV host, you're a PR manager, you do events. What's one thing that you love doing the most?
You know, it comes by seasons. There are times where I'm like, I'm gonna be a TV host, and I really love hosting, especially when I was with E. I was hosting for E Asia for 5 years, and it didn't feel like work. Talking about pop culture, entertainment, parang I really enjoyed it. But then I also love, you know, helping brands and helping businesses, making their ideas come to life.
Kasi sa panahon ngayon, ang daming options,
Yes.
di ba? Kasi before, it's either you enter show business or you do the normal life.
Yeah.
Ngayon kasi you can be an influencer, you can be a digital creator, you can be this and that. Maraming job opportunities. So, di ba, pag mas maraming options, mas nalilito ka, mas confused ka kung anong gusto mong gawin sa buhay.
It can be confusing, but at the same time, it can be so fun. You know, touching on all your passions and being creative and doing it all. And that's my advice to everyone is just start. Just do it, make mistakes. If not, then move on to the next, you know? If you have a lot of hobbies, if you like a lot of things, go do it all. And that's what I did. I wasn't limited because anak ako na artista. I grew up in a showbiz family. Kailangan showbiz lang ako. And I think yun din yung isa sa mga biggest hurdles ko when I started being an editor or doing PR and events. Yung mga people in that industry were like, sino ba yan? Di ba sa showbiz yan? Bakit siya nandito ngayon sa lane namin? So I really had to prove myself also in those industries na, hey, I'm just as good as you, if not better. So parang nung time na yun, not only did I have to prove myself in show business, but I have to also prove myself in the creative world. Pero ang maganda dyan, if you have the passion and the drive and you're willing to work hard, you can really do anything.
Who do you look up to?
Oh, that's a good question. I look up to my sister, my dad, to Chard. Grabe rin yung work ethic nila. Being in show business for as long as they have, hindi madali. So I really look up to them in terms of managing their time, dedication, and the passion they have for the industry and for their craft, and really working hard. I also look up to a lot of my friends, you know, Georgina, Liz, Belle, Erwan, Anne. You know, we all help shape each other and really motivated each other to level up. So all of us support each other's businesses, support each other in all the extra stuff that we do on the side. Without that support, I don't think we'd all be where we are right now.
Kasi parang isipin ng mga tao, no, siguro si Mond, ang dali ng buhay niya, sikat yung mga kaibigan niya, galing siya sa sikat na pamilya. So kahit anong trabahong pasukin niya, parang madali na lang sa kanya.
Pero yun nga yung isa sa mga naging sa akin parang being in a showbiz family, sometimes you don't earn the respect. Sometimes they open the doors but it doesn't last very long. Because kala nila, he's only here because he's the anak of ganito ganyan. You have to prove yourself even more. Na I'm not lazy. I'm willing to work hard. I'm willing to do the job. And when I first started doing magazine work or editorial work, I had to prove to that industry na I'm worthy. It's not always easy coming from a showbiz family because meron ng preconceived judgment. Kala nila, kilala ka na nila.
Saka mayaman ka na, marami ka ng pera, hindi mo na kailangan magtrabaho. Di ba ganyan?
Yeah, so parang meron na kagad judgment sa harap mo, hindi ka pa nga nakikilala. So that's why I always like to surprise people na, hey, I'm a nice person and I work hard. And sometimes that's a shock.
What is success for you?
Success is inner happiness. Even nung time na nasa GMA ako, I had so many shows, hosting Pinoy Idol, hosting my own shows, like, so successful in the eyes of the people, but internally I didn't feel successful because I didn't have that inner peace. Now I can finally say I'm very successful because I've reached that goal.
Journey yan Paano mahanap yung inner peace? Paano mo nahanap ang inner peace?
I think the first step is to really love yourself, but being grateful for what you have and the opportunities that you have. And if you don't have those opportunities in front of you, create it. Maraming doubters. People are gonna say na, ay, kakayanin mo ba yan? Hindi mo kaya yan. Believe in yourself is the number one key.
So, paano mo ngayon na-filter yung mga opinions that matter to you and yung mga opinions na hindi mo na pinapansin?
What's funny is that when I started acknowledging who I was and started living my life authentically to myself, nabawasan din yung bashers. Nabawasan yung haters. Parang ngayon, all I see is love and all I see is support. So I'm very thankful na I think nararamdaman din ng tao yun na when you're at peace, parang gusto rin nilang isupport yun. Kasi before, when there was an inner struggle, you see so much chaos and you read so many negative things. And it affects you. Pero ngayon, for some reason, parang nabawasan yun. Parang I see a lot of support coming my way and I'm very grateful.
Alam mo, maganda yung sinabi mo. Kasi parang yung environment mo, mag-change lang siya kapag nag-change ka na on the inside.
Yeah. And I really felt that. So lahat ng learnings na naramdaman ko and na naranasan ko in my 20s, I'm bringing that in now. So
And the biggest lesson that you've learned na dala mo ngayon is?
Be kind to yourself. I think that's really the number one. Kasi before, I really was self-destructive. And the moment that I started being kind to myself, I really felt everything change. My mindset, the things that I would do on a daily basis, parang naging mabait ako sa sarili ko. And that's really number one.
Alam mo, totoo yan. Kasi kapag mabait ka sa sarili mo, magiging mabait ka rin sa kapwa mo.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, emotional maturity.
Yeah.
Yun na tayo. Yan ang late 30s.
yan na tayo.
Nasa emotional maturity na tayo.
Yeah. And honestly, I know we're in our late 30s, but I feel like I'm starting my life over again. And I'm so excited for the future and what it brings because I feel like this is a new chapter in my life.